Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about The Dark Prophecy by Riordan. This is the second book in the Trials of Apollo series. As usual, I will give a spoiler-free mini review before I go into the spoiler section of this video. I do have a soft spot for this series. Not only do we have an amazing representation of diverse characters in this series, but we also have an amazing combination of Percy's narrative and the cameos not only from the second series but the first series, and it brings back so many amazing memories. So this particular series follows Apollo, who has been turned into a 16-year-old boy with acne and has a juris permit, and Apollo's main objective is to reclaim all the oracles in order to get his throne back on Mount Olympus. He teams up with this girl named Megs and makes a contract of making her his master. Together they go on this adventure of figuring out what's going on with the oracles and why no one is getting prophecies. We also join up with the old characters we know and love from the first and second series for long or short cameos. We get introduced to some new characters along the way, and I love these characters so much. They are so amazing. I think they're my favorite characters from this novel, and it's so fantastic, and I will go into more spoiler details about them. We start off where the last book left off. Apollo is now with Leo and Calypso. I honestly never thought that we would see Calypso again after what happened in the first series, but I am so happy that Leo saved her in the last series, and I am so happy they're together and they're so adorable. I love them so much. We follow them as they travel the country and figure out how to stop the now alive immortal Roman emperors. We get to meet different oracles along the way, and Apollo's narrative is so freaking funny. Like, I laugh out loud sometimes, and sometimes I chuckle, and sometimes some of the characters make me laugh as well. And honestly, if you want to be put back in a good mood, Rex Bryan's books are my go-to. Since we are following a perspective of a god, Apollo always expects people to do stuff for him. He has this irrational logic, and he's pretty self-absorbed. Kind of funny that Apollo's always having reminders and flashbacks like, I remember when 75 animals followed me 300 years ago. You know that feeling? We're like, no, Apollo, we're human. We're not gods. I also find it funny that almost every single character makes fun of Apollo every time he makes a remark. It's just so fantastic. Every time they make fun of him, I just laugh out loud. It's phenomenal. I want to mention real quick that Apollo is bisexual in this series. And I feel like it's really good exposure, especially in middle grade books, and I feel like we should have more representation of diverse characters like Apollo and Emmy and Joe, which they're a lesbian couple, and I just love them so much. It's such amazing representation. In this series in particular, his villains are somewhat humorous, but they're also very, very dark and very scary in my opinion, and Riordan does touch on emotional trauma in this book, and I felt so bad for some of the characters that had to deal with the villain, and it was just so troubling to read in the first book and in this book as well, and it was just so heart-wrenching. So of course I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars, and I honestly can't believe we have to wait a whole year to get the Burning Maze, and I'm not a patient human when it comes to books that I really want to read right now. That's it for my spoiler-free review of The Dark Prophecy, Trials of Apollo Book 2. If you have not read this book yet, please leave now and come back later when you finish this book so we can discuss. So, bye-bye, non-spoiler people! So the gang's having trouble with Hephaestus, and They run into this creature called the Blemyai in Louisiana. Moments after the Blemyai called reinforcements saying that they found Apollo, Calypso straight up attacks it and breaks her hand and breaks her leg. So what are you doing? You're human, you don't have powers anymore. And then Leo sees a bulldozer across the street or something, and he tells them to distract the Blemyai so he can get to Leo starts reciting his tale ever since he got cast down from Olympus to now, and Calypso's choruses are so funny. I just like every time Apollo recites something, she calls him like a worthless teen or pathetic, and then it's just like, really? The first time we met Emmy, I thought she was Artemis, and I'm like, wait, Artemis is not allowed to have Apollo. And then we find that Emmy and her wife Jo was former huntresses with Artemis. Apollo was the original person that gave Emmy her immortality, and I found it really stupid that Apollo found that in a way that she gave it up to be with Jo, and he's like a little later, he's like, I get it, okay. Felt so bad for Emmy and Jo when we find out their adopted daughter Georgina was kidnapped by one of the emperors because she's one of the vessels of the Dark Prophecy. I'm like, wait, if Georgina's the vessel of the Dark Prophecy, does that make Apollo her father? Find out that Apollo's son Trophonius is the spirit of the Dark Oracle. So Apollo has a dream of Trominus and his half-brother Gabidus, I think his name is called, I probably pronounced that wrong, trying to rob the royal treasury. So Trominus was able to escape the cave unharmed, but Gabidus, parts of his body was caved in, and Trominus was begging Apollo to help save his half-brother and just take him instead. But Apollo's like, you do this to yourself, this is not my problem. So Trominus was forced to kill his half-brother, and Trominus has resented Apollo ever since. Hey guys, it's Jenna from the future. The reason I'm filming this on a different day is because there was a huge rainstorm, so the audio was not picking up my voice on the recording, so I do apologize for the inconvenience. So I know in the last session we talked about Trophonius practically begging Apollo to save his half-brother and take him instead. When Apollo ignored him, Trophonius became the spirit of Dark Oracle when he died. One of my favorite parts of the book is when Meg and Apollo went to go see the Oracle of Trophonius, and Apollo drank the water of forgetting and memory, but Meg didn't do it, and Apollo was loopy and extremely out of it, so he couldn't really do much, and Meg poured her heart out and started singing all of her pain and all the trauma she went through with Nesto, and it was so emotional and so heartbreaking. I really loved it, and I felt so bad because Meg didn't do what Apollo did, so she is the one who received the prophecy, and she was losing her mind, and without the throne of memory, she would go insane. When Apollo saw Meg's memory with Nesto and Meg and seeing her dad dead on the ground, that 5-year-old little Meg, I was so angry and upset and sad at the same time. I don't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I should cry or punch Nesto in the face. Nesto was trying to be or pretend to be sympathetic. I was so angry. I'm just like, shut the heck up. And then Meg was only 5 years old, so she had no one to turn to be upset or lean on the shoulder to, and I was just like, Meg, oh Meg. Every time we had a scene with Nesto, I always get infuriated. I don't know why, I just do. It's just, And when Meg escaped her 2 bodyguards, I was so freaking happy. When Apollo and Calypso were at the zoo to go save the Griffins and they were fighting against Lit, and when Lit got trampled by one of the trains, I knew that Meg was there to help Apollo and Calypso. I honestly thought Meg was not gonna help Apollo or the rest of the gang at all in this book. I thought she was so far gone because of Nesto's brainwashing and abuse. It was just so bad at that point, and I'm just like, well, I was wrong. Let's talk about Apollo and Comus' relationship for a minute. Even though the relationship was very short-lived, I kind of enjoyed seeing Apollo's memory with Comus. At the same time, I felt bad for Apollo and Comus at the same time because Apollo was the one who assassinated Commodus. And during the beginning of their relationship, or a couple months after they started dating, Apollo's like, you have my blessings, and Commodus is a delusional bastard who can't get over the fact that Apollo was the one that took his life. I was honestly surprised when Lent decided to join forces with Apollo and the rest of the gang because Commodus, the crazy bastard, practically kills every second in command, like less than 2 days. I think Commodus became one of my least favorite villains in the Percy Jackson world. I just think he's just obnoxiously annoying and just too resentful. Like, I get Apollo killed him and how he resents him and everything, but I think he's overdoing it. And it's just, no. Just no. I really enjoyed seeing Thalia Grace again in the Huntresses, and closer to the end when Apollo and Thalia are interacting, and Apollo's like, I think you helped us because you like me. And Thalia's like, no, Lady Artemis sent us. And Apollo's like, Feeling that when Thalia and Meg first met each other, and Thalia's like, oh, I know who you are. Lady Artemis has been watching you. And Apollo's like, oh, no. You can tell my sister that Meg's off limits. So that is it for my Dark Prophecy book talk. I guess you guys want to know down below what your favorite scene in this book was. And I will see you guys very, very soon.